students, I, Rajeshwari Shirkanhalli, welcome you all in Nagesh Karasgi Orchid School channel. We are discussing chapter number 7, Conservation of Plants and Animals. We have discussed that plants and animals are very important, so they should be conserved. So for the conservation of these plants and animals, different biospheres, different wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, etc. are made so that the plants as well as the animals get protection over there. So out of which we have discussed about wildlife sanctuaries. We have seen that in the Pachmari Biosphere Reserve there is one wildlife sanctuary. Then we have compared the wildlife sanctuary with zoo. We have seen that in the zoo the animals are just kept for recreation. They don't have there any freedom, and whereas in wildlife sanctuaries animals are free. They are living in their natural existence, in natural environment. Now let us discuss about national park. What's a national park? A national park is an area where wildlife is reserved. So a national park is an area reserved for wildlife, where they can freely use their habitats and natural resources. Whatever the resources are available over there, they are used by wildlife and they are very free. It is a relatively large protected area and is maintained by the government to preserve flora and fauna, landscape, historical objects of the area and the places of scientific interest. So in a national park, not only the flora and fauna are protected, along with that the landscapes, then the different historical objects of that area, and similarly some places where scientific plants are found, the places of scientific interest are also protected. These areas are diverse enough to protect whole sets of ecosystems. So the whole set of ecosystem, right from the small insects to the top predators, everyone gets protection here in the national parks. These areas also provide human recreation and enjoyment. So people go and visit national parks, but they have to follow certain rules and regulations. There are certain laws which should be followed by everyone, those who go there and visit. People are allowed to enter these areas, but exploitation of natural resources is strictly prohibited. So people can go to visit national park, they can enjoy by seeing the different trees, different plants available over there. They can even see the wildlife present in the national parks, but no natural resource is exploited. It is a strictly prohibited for the people that they should not exploit any of the natural resource in the national park. Now in India there are 105 national parks are there. So out of these 105 national parks, some important national parks are listed here. The first one is very famous Corbett National Park, where it is present in Uttarakhand. Second one is Bandhavgarh National Park. It is located in Madhya Pradesh. Third one is Kaziranga National Park, which is in Assam. Fourth one is Bandipur National Park, which is there in Karnataka. Then fifth and sixth are present in Rajasthan. These both the national parks, that is Ranthambore National Park and Kevladev National Park. These are located in Rajasthan. So these are some of the very important national parks in India. But overall there are more than 105 national parks are there in our country. Now we will discuss about Satpura National Park. We have discussed in the beginning of the chapter that Satpura National Park is located in Pachmari Biosphere Reserve, which is in Madhya Pradesh. So this is the map. Here this blue color portion, this shows Madhya Pradesh. Here you can see this is Satpura, okay, and this is Pachmari Biosphere Reserve. So here we will find Satpura National Park, one of very important national park in our country. So in Satpura we find a large variety of animals. Satpura is home to the Royal Bengal tiger and the leopard along with several other mammals and bird species are found in the Satpura National Park. So, it is one of the important national park of India. Let us see the wildlife in Satpura National Park. Satpura National Park in Pachmari Reserve has tiger, gaur, gaur means Indian bison, then leopard, then Indian giant squirrel, sambar, sloth bear, chital, barking deer, wild boar, rhesus monkey, langur, nilgai, hyena, wild dog, porcupine, marsh crocodile and four-horned antelope. These are some of the wildlife. These are found in Satpura National Park. So, Satpura National Park in Madhya Pradesh is the first reserve forest of India. The finest Indian teak is found here. All of you know about teak tree. It's one of the very important tree. So, this Indian teak is found in Satpura National Park. Where is Satpura National Park located? In Madhya Pradesh. It is the first reserve forest of India. The evidences of prehistoric human life in these jungles called rock shelters are also found inside the Satpura National Park. Means if you go and visit Satpura National Park, along with the wildlife, you can find there some of the evidences of prehistoric human life. Means the ancient human, how they were living, what type of the shelters they were having over there. Still you can find the evidences of that. This all gives an idea of the life of primitive people. So there we find the rock shelters where the primitive man used to live. So it gives an idea about the life of primitive people. So different rock paintings are found in Satpura National Park. Figures of animals and men fighting, hunting, dancing and playing musical instruments are depicted in these paintings. Means all this gives the lifestyle of those primitive people, what they were doing, what type of animals were there, what type of hunting, dancing they were doing and what type of musical instruments were available at that time. All these are depicted in the rock paintings. Many tribals still live in this area. A total of 55 rock shelters have been identified in Pachmari Biosphere Reserve. So, if you visit Pachmari Biosphere Reserve, there you will find a total of 55 rock shelters. Then Project Tiger. This is one of the very important project in Satpura National Park. So, you know, tiger is our national animal, but previously the number of tigers went on decreasing. Then government undertook some projects which are named as Project Tiger, and with the help of which now there is a very noticeable increase in the total number of tigers. So let us discuss about this Project Tiger. What is Project Tiger? Project Tiger is a wildlife conservation project which was launched by Government of India in the year 1973 to protect the tigers in the country. By that time the population of tigers was very less in the country. So for the conservation of these tigers, Government of India launched Project Tiger in the year 1973. The objective of this project was to ensure the survival and maintenance of tiger population in the country. So, what was the main objective of the project? To ensure that the tiger population gets survived and it gets maintained in the country. That time initially 9 tiger reserves were established, but now it has increased to 47 at present. So, from 9 tiger reserves in its formative years, the project tiger coverage has increased to 47 at present. There is a Satpura Tiger Reserve in Satpura National Park, which is a part of Project Tiger. So, out of these 47 tiger reserves, one is present in Satpura National Park, which is named as Satpura Tiger Reserve. So, let us discuss about this Satpura Tiger Reserve. Tiger is one of the many species which are slowly disappearing from our forests. So, tiger is very important species, but it is disappearing from our forest areas. But the Satpura Tiger Reserve is unique in the sense that a significant increase in the population of tiger has been seen here. So, even if the tiger population is decreasing in different forest areas, but in Satpura Tiger Reserve there is a significant increase in the population of tiger has been seen. Once upon a time, animals like Barasingha, wild buffaloes, lion and elephants were also found in the Satpura National Park. So, previously there were some different animals like Barasingha, wild buffaloes, lion and elephants. All these animals have now vanished from this area due to illegal activities of people living in nearby areas. So, the people in the nearby areas went in this Satpura Tiger Reserve and they killed all these animals. So, Barasingha, wild buffaloes, lion and elephants are not available, not seen there right now because they have all completely vanished. It is a sad fact that even the protected areas are not safe. So, the different areas are protected for wildlife, but the reality is what? Even these areas are not completely safe for wildlife. These are also encroached upon by people living in the neighborhood and destroyed by them for their personal benefits. So, people living in the nearby areas, they go in these protected areas and they encroach the land, they kill the animals, they use their different body parts for their personal benefits, and due to these illegal activities, even the protected areas are not completely safe. Now, let us discuss about extinct animals. The species which no longer exist anywhere on the earth are called extinct animals. Means they are disappeared completely now. They are not seen anywhere on the earth. Means they are extinct. They have become extinct. A species become extinct when the last living member of that species dies. So, if you consider any species, when the last member of that species dies, then no more member of that species are remaining, then that animal becomes extinct. Example, dodo, it was a bird, dinosaurs, Irish deer, these have become extinct now. So, you can see here, this is a dodo bird which is not available anywhere, it is not seen anywhere, it is completely disappeared, vanished. This is a dinosaur and this is Irish deer. So, these are not seen, these are some of the examples of extinct animals. Means no member of dinosaur, no member of Irish deer and no member of dodo bird is seen anywhere on the earth. So, they are extinct animals. Now, let us discuss about endangered animals. endangered means they have not become extinct, but they are on the verge of extinction. Means if precautionary measures are not taken, if they are not protected, then in near future they may become extinct. They are called as endangered animals. So animals whose numbers are diminishing means decreasing to a level that they might face extinction are called endangered animals. So the number of these animals are decreasing day by day, and it's a fear that they may become extinct in the near future. So such animals are called as endangered animals. These are on the verge of vanishing from the earth, and if appropriate actions to save them are not taken, they may become extinct. So they are on the verge of vanishing, means they are on the border, on that boundary of becoming extinct. But if we take appropriate actions to save them, then we may save them, otherwise they will become extinct. Some examples of these endangered animals are lion-tailed macaque. Second one is a tiger, then snow leopard and Asiatic lion. So these are some of the endangered animals. So just have a look. These all the three pictures showed of lion-tailed macaque. So it's a kind of monkey, but its tail is like a lion. It is an endangered animal, just found at very few places on the earth. Then tiger, this is Asiatic lion, and these two pictures are of snow leopard. So these are some of the examples of endangered animals. Now let us discuss about ecosystem. What's an ecosystem? An ecosystem is made of all the plants, animals and microorganisms in an area along with non-living components such as climate, soil, river deltas, etc. So ecosystem means it is made up of biotic as well as abiotic components. Biotic means living organisms in which plants, animals and microorganisms come, and abiotic components means non-living organisms, means non-living components. Which are those? Climate of that ecosystem, then the soil quality, river delta, presence of water, etc. All these are abiotic components of ecosystem. The same animals are too much more in danger of becoming extinct than the bigger animals. So smaller animals are more in danger of becoming extinct as compared to bigger animals. Why? Because at times we kill snakes, frogs, lizards, bats and owls ruthlessly without realizing their importance in the ecosystem. We feel that these all the organisms, they cause harm to us, so we kill them, but even they are very important part of our ecosystem. They are important part of the food chains present in the ecosystem. They might be small in size, but their role in the ecosystem cannot be ignored. So in the ecosystem we find the food webs. Food web is formed by different food chains, and in food chain all these small organisms also are the part, and they also play very important role. So these are very important, even though they are very small in size, but their role in the ecosystem cannot be ignored. We are harming ourselves by killing them. So when we kill these small organisms like snail, snake, bat, lizards, rats, etc., by killing them actually we are harming ourselves. These small animals form parts of food chains and food webs which are essential for maintaining balance in nature. So a proper balance in the nature is maintained because of presence of food webs and food chains. Network of food chains is called as a food web. What is a food chain? Now for example, grass. Grass is the first component of one food chain. It is eaten by grasshopper. Grasshopper is very small, but it forms a very important component of food chain. Grasshopper is eaten by frog. Frog is eaten by snake. This is one food chain. So if any one of the component from this food chain get destroyed, then the whole food chain gets affected. Now for example, if you kill grasshoppers, then frogs don't get food because frogs are dependent on grasshopper. Then the population of frogs also decreases, and then snakes also don't get frog for its as its food, so snakes also die. Means the whole food chain gets disturbed even if we destroy any one of the component of food chain. Okay. Now example, snake that is killed for its skin disrupts the food chain. People kill the snake and they use the skin of the snake. Killing of the snake increases the population of the pests like mice that damage the crops. So snakes also feed on mice, they eat mice. But if snakes are not there, then the population of the mice get increased and these mice start damaging the crops. So crops get destroyed. So each and every living organism is very important in our ecosystem. Now let us discuss about red data book. What is red data book? A red data book contains the list of species whose continued existence is threatened, that is endangered animals and plants. So red data book is having a list of the species which are endangered. This red data book consists of animals as well as plants. So the endangered animals and plants are included in red data book and their existence is continuously threatened. Species are classified into different categories of perceived risk such as critically endangered, endangered and vulnerable. So based on the threat which these species are receiving, they are labeled under three categories: critically endangered means too much endangered, then second one is endangered and third one is vulnerable. It usually deals with a specific group of animals or plants. Red data books are now being published in many different countries and provide useful information on the threat status of the species. So if you see the red data book, you can search the red data books from internet, you will find there the useful information about the threat status of different species. Different species means different plants as well as animals. Some of the endangered species in the red data book of India are black buck, great Indian rhinoceros, Himalayan musk deer. So the names of these animals are included in the red data book of India, of our country. They are endangered. So which are those? Black buck, great Indian rhinoceros and Himalayan musk deer. I will just show their pictures. This is a black buck. This is great Indian rhinoceros. So this is also an endangered animal nowadays. This is Himalayan musk deer. So this is found in the Gangotri, Himalaya, and its population is decreasing as people use this. You know what is musk deer? It gives a very flavored scent called as musk. In local language we call it as kasturi. So because of getting this musk, people are going and killing this musk deer, so its population is decreasing day by day, and that's why it is also included in the red data book of India as an endangered animal. Now after knowing about red data book, let us see about migration. What is migration? To go from one place to another place for getting a suitable climate. So let us see migration. The process of an animal or bird to move from one place to another on the basis of season is called migration. So in different seasons, birds especially as well as animals, they migrate from one place to another place. It is their adaptation to to escape the harsh and cold conditions of their normal habitat. So, if the climate becomes very harsh, very cold, then birds cannot adapt to that climatic conditions. So, they go to some other places where they get suitable climate. So, it is their adaptation to escape the harsh and cold climate, cold conditions of their normal habitat, so as to survive and reproduce. Example, Siberian crane, one of the most common migratory bird which comes to India every year from Siberia when it is winter there. So, when the condition is very cold in Siberia, it comes to India. Where it comes? It comes to warmer places in India like Bharatpur, which is in Rajasthan. So, this is Siberian crane. Sometimes the Siberian cranes are even seen in our city. Now, birds who cover long distances to reach another land are known as migratory birds. Migratory birds fly to far away areas every year during a particular time because of climate changes. So, when there is a climate change, when the climate becomes very cold, these migratory birds to far away areas for a suitable climate. Why they fly? Actually, they fly for laying eggs. As the weather in their natural habitat becomes very cold and it is inhospitable for them, they cannot lay eggs in that cold climate. So, they come to the warmer areas. The bird named Arctic tern makes the longest migration. It travels from the North Pole to the South Pole each year. So, Arctic tern travel from the North Pole to the South Pole, means it covers a very long area, very long distance it covers for getting suitable climate. So, that is Arctic tern. So, these are some pictures of Arctic tern. So, what we have discussed today is about national park. We have discussed about Satpura National Park, the different wildlife present in the Satpura National Park. We have also seen that Satpura National Park is a home to different type of plants and animals. The finest Indian teak is seen in the Satpura National Park. Along with the plants and animals, we have also seen that the rock shelters, around 55 rock shelters are found in Satpura National Park, which gives an idea about the lifestyle of the primitive man. After seeing the national park, we have discussed about extinct animals and endangered animals. What are extinct animals? The animals which have vanished completely, means there is no member of that species available anywhere on the earth. That is called as extinct animal. And endangered animals means they are on the verge of extinction. Anytime they may get extinct, they may become extinct. That is called as endangered animals. After that, we have discussed about Red Data Book. What is Red Data Book? It is a book in which we find the list of endangered species. These species may be of plants or may be of animals. So, we have also seen that in the Red Data Book of India, we find some species like Indian rhinoceros, then musk deer, Himalayan musk deer, then snow leopard, etc. They are included in Red Data Book. After that, we have discussed about ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? It is a large part of area which consists of biotic and abiotic components. Biotic components means living organisms, in which we include plants, animals and microorganisms. And abiotic components means non-living components, means soil, water, then climatic condition and temperature at that place. After seeing about ecosystem, we have seen about migration. So, what is migration? Going from one place to another place for getting suitable climate. So, So it is generally done by the birds, and such birds are called as migratory birds. They fly from one place, means from their natural habitat, from their home to far away places for getting suitable climate. We have seen that just now we have discussed that Siberian crane, they fly from Siberia to India. In India, in Bharatpur, which is situated in Rajasthan, they come for getting warm climate. And the bird Arctic tern is the migratory bird which do the maximum migration. It fly from North Pole to South Pole every year for laying eggs. So today here we will stop. We will continue in the next session about some different remaining topics of the chapter. Thank you.